Want to help me pack for the Tahoe Rim Trail? I have been going through all of my gear, checking everything to make sure that it is just right. It's almost time to pack up, so I'm going to take you through what I've got on my list this year, and I'll show you everything that I'm taking. I'm Joey, and I leave for the Tahoe Rim Trail in just about a week. This is actually my second trip to Nevada to hike the Tahoe Rim Trail. Last summer, I did about 2/3 of it before I got injured and I had to come home early. I'm going back this year, and instead of going clockwise like I did last year, I will be hiking counterclockwise, starting from Spooner Summit and heading up around the north side of the lake, and then down through Tahoe City, Desolation Wilderness, South Lake Tahoe, and back up to Spooner Summit. It's a great big loop. You can do it in any direction you want. You can start pretty much anywhere you want, but that's what I'm doing to make sure I knock out the miles that I missed last year first, and then enjoy going through the rest of the trail. I'm going with my friend Donna Gunslinger. You might have seen her in some of my previous videos. We actually met on the Colorado Trail. We finished that trail together, and we've had a lot of fun hiking over the past few years, and we're just really ready to go and have a great time out there in the woods, up in the mountains, and enjoying epic views of that amazing lake. Now I'm going to show you my gear kind of in categories. So I'll show you my sleep system, I'll show you my clothing, I'll show you my shelter, but let's start with the backpack. This is a pack that I've had for a few years now. I got it not long after I hiked the Appalachian Trail back in 2018. It is a custom pack. It's made by Superior Wilderness Designs. It does not have a frame, so you can see as a frameless pack, you can pretty much squish it down to nothing. I personally love the frameless pack. This one is only 40 liters and with a relatively light base weight. I don't really need the structure that a lot of people find that they want in a larger pack with a heavier load. If I pack it properly, it just kind of molds to my body, and I honestly almost forget that I'm wearing a pack sometimes. So this works for me. A frameless pack might not work for you, but if you're an experienced backpacker and you're trying to lighten your load, you might want to consider a frameless pack, as opposed to a pack with a frame that typically is going to weigh more and have a lot more structure to it. It's going to be a lot more rigid, and pack fit is going to be extremely important when you have a pack like that. Not that pack fit is not important with this pack, but because it doesn't have a frame, I find it's much easier to adjust to my body and make it supremely comfortable. So I really, really love this pack. They don't make it anymore, which makes me very sad, but I know there's some other pack companies out there, some startup pack companies that really are doing similar things. And so when it's time to retire this one, I'll be looking at some of those other alternative gear manufacturers to see what they have and see if I can find one that's similar that's going to work for me. But for now, it's still going strong. I did punch a little hole in it right here. I just dropped my pack casually on a log or something like that, and a stick went through it. So I got this cute little patch. These are from No-So patches, and they make a lot of neat patch designs as well as just regular rectangular patches that you can trim. They stay on really well, and I just thought the bear would be a nice little addition for a little bit of fun. Inside my pack, I do use a trash compactor bag as a pack liner. I've tried a couple of other things, just the regular trash bag that's not thick enough. This is a bit thicker in terms of the mill of the plastic. I tried the Nylaflume pack liners, and I just wasn't real happy with them. They felt a little too flimsy to me, even though I have several of these that I could replace it. This particular bag is doing great, so I'm going to keep it. On the outside of the pack, on the shoulder straps, I have two pockets for my little tripod, and it just goes right in. Again, I can also put my little microphone system in here, so they're close at hand. If I want to, I could put my phone on the outside, but normally I just carry that in my fanny pack, which I'll show you in a bit. And on this side, I carry a water bottle, usually about a 0.75 liter bottle with a hose that I've rigged, and then this is just an Osprey bite valve that you can put on standard refrigerator hose that you can find at the Home Depot or Lowe's or any other kind of hardware store. This is the setup that I created myself. I just used a knife to kind of shave out the inside of the lid of the Smart Water bottle so that the hose would fit down in there. And it's great because I have it right here, and it makes it very easy to drink on the trail. And when you're in high altitude in a dry, arid place like the hills around Lake Tahoe, drinking a lot of water is really important to stay hydrated and to deal with the elevation so you don't run into problems. So in addition to this 0.75 liter bottle, I carry one and two, so that's 2.75 if you're counting, and then potentially 3 liters of water. So almost 4 liters of water capacity, because there are a few stretches on the Tahoe Rim Trail where water is somewhat scarce. And so there might be times where I do need to carry all of that water. Usually I'm hiking with about 2 to 2.5 liters, unless the water is really plentiful. And then I might even be down to half a liter if I know that I'm running into streams every couple of miles. For filtering, I use the Katadyn Bee-Free filter. I also have several Sawyer filters, but this one is my favorite because it is screaming fast when it's clean and when it's new. And then instead of just having to buy a whole filter setup like you get with Sawyer, you can just replace just the filter and keep your bag if there's no issues with your bag. This goes in, you fill up the bag and you just squeeze it and your water comes out right away. Sawyer has done something cool that I like, and that is that they've partnered with Knock for filter bags that are really nice bags. So you might see those if you go into a store like REI. But for me, this is the simple lightweight system that works. So this is what I'm taking, and I'll have so much potential for staying not thirsty. Camp shoes are right here, so I'll show you these. I know they're kind of a luxury, but I really like to let my feet dry out at the end of the day. And these little guys are the lightest camp shoes I have ever found, and I stumbled across them in Dollar Tree last year as I was getting ready to go. I like that they just kind of stack this way so they'll fit in the pocket on the outside of my pack. I don't have to attach them and have them flapping around. So Dollar Tree shoes for the win. In the outside pocket on the back of my pack, I also carry a piece of Tyvek. And you can see this one's been around on a few hikes. It's a little dirty and it's kind of soft, which is nice. You can wash this and soften it up. I use this outside of my tent at night. I put it down kind of as a doormat or a landing pad so that I don't get a lot of dirt inside my tent, and I can put some things like my shoes and my water bottles outside of the tent. This is also great when I'm hiking and I want to take a break during the day because I can just sit on it, or I can open it up all the way and even spread out and take a siesta when it's really hot. So this is a nice lightweight little piece of gear to take. Doesn't cost anything if you can find somebody who's got some cast-offs and give them to you. And you can also buy Tyvek certain places online. If you just search for Tyvek sheets, then you can find pieces where people are selling it actually by the foot or by the linear foot if you want. Now I showed you some of my electronics, the little microphone that I take. I also carry a Nitecore charger. This is a 5,000 milliamp charger, and I actually probably will take 2 of these because there are some long stretches where we won't have electrical service. I used to carry an Anker, but unfortunately the Anker model that I had was just recently recalled due to some issues with certain chargers catching on fire. So I don't want that to happen. I've never had any issue with it. They're going to be replacing it for me, which is great. But Nitecore is a little bit lighter, and I can carry 2 of these, and that'll give me enough power to get through basically a week on the trail with my phone and recharging my Garmin and recharging everything else that might need to be recharged, like my microphone. I have a little tiny Dyneema pouch that I keep everything in. This is from Allman's Right. I got it through Garage Grown Gear. And I have pared down my cords considerably over the years. I used to have a whole rat's nest of things, but I've got this little Anker charging block that folds up. I've got a shorter cable. This is also an Anker cable. I really do like their cables. And then I got some adapters. So this is a regular USB-C. And because my Garmin takes a old school USB with like the kind of hexagonal shape, I've got that adapter, and then I've also got the adapter for Lightning for my iPhone. So all of that stuff is pretty lightweight, fits right in this little bag, and I usually just keep it down in my pack until I get into camp. Also, after I set up my tent, I throw in this little bag. I call this my tent bag because it's got basically everything I need for the night in my tent. It's a bag from Eagle Creek. It's not waterproof. You can get a Dyneema bag, and they're great too, but I really have liked this one. I've had it for a few years. It doesn't really weigh any more than a Dyneema pouch. I've got a couple of different bandages. I've got a patch kit if I need to patch my sleeping pad. And then this little stuff here is called lamb's wool, natural lamb's wool with lanolin in it, and it's a great thing to put on any hot spots if you get those. So if you're prone to blisters, I do have some good videos that you can see up here as for how to prevent blisters and make sure that your feet are happy on the trail. So take a look at those if that's an issue for you. I carry a little bit of extra line for my tent. Normally, I'm just staking out the 4 corners and the 2 vestibules, but sometimes in high winds, I need to add a little bit more, and I don't leave it on my tent. I just keep it here and use it when I need it. I carry a few meds, and typically, I have the philosophy that I just need enough meds to get me from wherever I am to the next town, which is rarely more than a few days. And on a trail like the Tahoe Rim Trail, there's a lot of places where you feel very remote, but you're not too far from town, and there are ways that you can bail out and get rescued. If you do have a Garmin inReach, and this is something that I highly recommend, this or a Zoleo or one of the other satellite communicators, this is a great way to get in touch with the outside world if you do have issues. God forbid you need to call out the cavalry and get a full SOS, you can do that on here as well. Some tweezers, and a pair of nail clippers. These are all luxury items, so if I wanted to shave some weight, I could get rid of all of them, but I do appreciate having them with me, so I don't mind carrying that little tiny bit of extra weight. This is a small pack towel, and I can dry my whole body with this, which is great if I'm in a hostel and there are no towels. But most of the time, what I'm using this for is to cleaning condensation off my tent in the morning. I could just use the bandana that I keep in my cook kit, but I don't want to spread any food odors on my tent, so I try to keep those separate. This is a nice lightweight little towel. If I jump in an alpine lake and I want to swim, I can use this. I carry this little tiny Mylar blanket. For me, it's a safety item, and thank God I've never had to use this for anybody who's had any kind of emergency, like if you find a hiker who's maybe fallen, broken a leg, and potentially going into shock, this is a good thing to have to keep them safe while help is on the way. But it also works great if the ground is really cold and you're just finding that too much cold is coming up through the floor of your tent and your sleeping pad, and you're shivering all night, then put this under your sleeping pad on the top of the tent floor, and it's going to help reflect that heat back up to you and reflect the cold back down to the ground, and you'll find you sleep a lot better that way. I use a little Nightcore, very lightweight headlamp. I used to use Petzl, and I still have several Petzls that I enjoy a lot, but when I came across this one, I just really liked the cord system and the extra weight savings. It's like this stays in my little tent pack unless I know I'm going to be hiking in the dark. Then I just tuck it into my fanny pack so that I'm prepared as it starts to get dark. I carry a little journal and a pen in a plastic bag. I have a Tahoe Rim Trail pocket atlas. Again, this is extra weight, and if you're going ultralight, you probably wouldn't want to carry this, but I found it very handy to compare some of the information in here versus what's in the Far Out app. Sometimes the information wasn't the same, or there was extra information in here that I found helpful. I'm taking this again this summer because it was definitely worth its weight. I also have a California campfire permit. This is required, and it's very easy to get online. You have to have the hard copy, and I've just tucked it in here with my journal and with my tape. And the last thing I have in here is a little N95 mask. I am not so worried about COVID these days, but it is wildfire season when I will be hiking in July and August. If there is a lot of smoke from wildfires even coming all the way across the lake or down from Canada, it's known to happen, then I can wear this and help make sure that I'm breathing air that's a little cleaner than I would be if I didn't have a mask. Two other little things I have in here before I close it up. Earplugs. These are good to have, and also an extra hair tie because occasionally they get lost and I don't want to not be able to put my hair up. Now for clothing, this guy stays outside my pack in the big black pocket on the back, and I don't usually carry it in a stuff sack. It's my rain jacket. It is from Lightheart Gear. It's a lovely little rain jacket, but one drawback it has is that it doesn't fold down into its pocket. And since it doesn't rain a whole lot on the Tahoe Rim Trail, I found last summer that I wasn't using it a lot, but it was kind of getting in the way, just being loosely stuffed in that pack. So this year I'm taking one of the stuff sacks that I cast off from all the other gear that I have. Seems like everything comes in a stuff sack and you really don't need them. So I'm going to repurpose this one just to keep the rain jacket nice and compact. Didn't have to pay a thing for it, and it's going to help keep me a little bit more organized. Another thing that helps keep me organized is this little Sea to Summit pack. It's a sil nylon pack, and it does pack up to about that big. It's really handy for going into town, for doing resupply, and even for traveling. Since I am flying to the Tahoe Rim Trail, I'll be on a flight for 3 or 4 hours and going through the airport and all that. It's nice to have the things that you need right close at hand, and there are some things that you cannot check. So your lighter, for example, can't go in your checked bag. And there are other things like your stove that have to go in the checked bag. And so it's nice to be able to separate them out before I even fly. And then when I'm on the trail, I just use this to keep all my clothes together. While I am hiking, I'm going to be wearing some Patagonia shorts. They've got a little liner in them. I can swim in them. They dry off quickly, and they're very cool even when it's super hot. Last year, I took a pair of leggings to sleep in, and that's normally my go-to for sleeping on the trail, especially when nights might be cooler. And on the Tahoe Rim Trail, it can get down into the 30s and 40s on some nights, even though it's really warm during the day. They're also known to have occasional snow showers in the summertime. So it's nice to have something warmer than shorts to sleep in. I do want something that I can wear to travel in and be comfortable going through the airport. And also, we're taking a 0 day in Tahoe City, so it'd be nice to have something to relax in or go out to dinner if we want a nicer dinner. So I'm taking some really super lightweight athletic pants, and these are easy to find in lots of places now. They're really comfortable, and they would also work as wind pants. If it's a cool morning, I could put them on over my shorts, and so That's going to be kind of my extra layer of clothing, or at least for the bottom half. This is my hiking tee, and I took it last year, and I found out that I didn't wear it a lot during the daytime, but it was really comfortable to wear at night on those nights when it was a little warmer, particularly if I was just wearing pants. I didn't necessarily need a wool shirt on the top. During the day, I'm going to be hiking in my sun shirt. This is from Outdoor Research. It's an Astroman, and it is really lightweight, very breathable. It's kind of a stretchy fabric, and it doesn't feel as kind of plasticky as some of the other sun shirts that I've tried. A lot of them are much heavier fabric, and this is like, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just so lightweight, feather light, I guess. And it's really cool and comfortable to hike in, even on the very hottest of days. This will be my daily hiking shirt. If it's cooler and I want an extra layer, I can put this underneath, but then this will probably be my town shirt or my sleeping shirt. I do have a little sports bra from Nike. This is really comfortable, doubles as a swim top, again, so jumping in those alpine lakes or into Lake Tahoe when I get a chance. And it dries quickly as well. I'm not sure how everything ended up being purple. I'm not usually that coordinated, but this is a little Outdoor Research sun hat, and they had it in darker colors, and I wanted a lighter color so it wouldn't absorb heat. Looks like I probably should have run it through the wash. I'm going to go wash this before I take it with me. But this is a nice little breathable hat, and as you can see, it goes real compact, so if I'm not wearing it, I can just shove it in a pocket on my pack. I carry one extra pair of socks for sleeping in. These are some little lightweight smart wool socks. And this is a lightweight beanie from Melanzana. Outdoor Research little sun gloves. You can see these have been around a bit. They keep the sun off my hands, and also if it's cold at night, I have something called Raynaud's syndrome. You can see a video up here about hiking with Raynaud's. It tends to make you lose your sensation in your fingers. It's a circulatory issue. And so at night, if it's a little cooler, then I will also wear the gloves just to keep my hands fully functional. On my feet, I wear Injinji toe socks, liner socks. These are wonderful for preventing blisters because instead of causing friction between your sock and your skin, the friction ends up between the sock and the liner sock and reduces blisters dramatically. So if you're not doing a combo like this, I would recommend trying it if you're finding that blisters are an issue. I have a Mountain Hardwear, kind of like a Alpha Direct on the inside type fleece. This is wonderful in the evening in camp when it starts to get cooler. You're kind of winding down from the day. I find this is really comfortable, and I can also use it under my head. It's nice and soft. For the really chilly nights or mornings, I do carry my Mountain Hardwear Ghost Whisperer. I bought this to hike the Appalachian Trail. That was, gosh, I think I bought it 8 years ago. I hiked the AT 7 years ago. It's still doing really well. It's got a couple of patches from back then when I got a little too close to fires, but just some tenacious tape took care of that. I do work for an outfitter, and so I've seen a lot of the different ones that are out there, but I'm in love with this one. And there's no need to replace your gear if it's working, so I'm going to hang on to this one as long as it's viable. The foundation of my sleep system for the past few years has been a Thermarest Uberlight pad that only weighed 8 ounces. And I really loved that thing until it popped on me the final night of my hike last year. Several of the baffles on it, and you can see like these kind of baffles popped, I guess just overuse, or I had it for too long, I'm not sure. But when I contacted them to see if there was anything they could do under warranty, they told me that they don't make that pad anymore. They offered to send me a replacement pad from their current selection of products, and so I ended up getting this Neo Air X-Lite pad. This is the one, I call it the potato chip pad, right? You've probably heard people talk about how noisy this pad is. Thermarest has done a lot of work over the past few years to take away some of that noise, and this one, I just tried it the other night for the first time, is not nearly as noisy as the ones that I heard when people were hiking with these on the AT. So that's really encouraging. It does weigh about 4 ounces more, which if you're counting is 50% more than the other pad. I would love to have an 8-ounce sleeping pad again, and there is one option on the market that I considered, and that is from Nemo. Unfortunately, some of the reviews I read said that the fabric on it was a little bit thinner and more fragile, and the last thing I want is to have a pad that's going to give out on me in the middle of the trail. So I decided not to spend the money on that right now. Go ahead and try the one that I've already got and see how it does. And then in the future, if I feel like I need to shave those extra 4 ounces, then I may go ahead and try that Nemo pad. But for now, we're going to go with the Thermarest, the oldie but goodie, I guess is what you would call this one. Many of you probably have the same pad, and if you do, I'm curious what your experience has been, especially if you've gotten in the past few years or have replaced an older, noisy one with a newer one. Let me know what you think. You can drop your thoughts down in the comments below. On top of my sleeping pad, I use a silk liner. A lot of people don't take a liner, but I love this on hot nights, and there's two different ways that I can use it. If it's really hot, I'm gonna slide my pad right inside it and just lay on this like it's a top sheet. If it's a little cooler, then I'm actually gonna put this on top of my sleeping pad. I'm gonna crawl into the liner like it's a sleeping bag and then put my quilt on the top. This, surprisingly, even as light and thin as it is, can add, I believe, about 7 degrees of warmth. If you do get one of those freak snowstorms, or if you're using a really, really lightweight quilt and you wanna stretch it a little bit, or super lightweight like a 40-degree sleeping bag, then you could also take a liner so that you can get into the shoulder seasons a little bit more without having to buy multiple sleeping bags or sleeping quilts. So just a little tip for you. I carry a pillow. This is just one that I found. I think it's Trichology off of Amazon. I'll put a note down below on that. But this is a little pillow with a quilted top, and I've found over the years that I really hike better when I sleep better, and I sleep better when I have a real pillow instead of a bag stuffed full of clothes. I mean, I could definitely take that little Sea to Summit backpack and put some clothes in it, and it work as a pillow, but it doesn't work as well for me. So this is worth the weight penalty. Again, this contributes to my 15, 16 pound base weight. I'll calculate the exact weight and let you know what that is at the end of the video. And then finally, to stay warm, I have this lovely quilt that I bought from Underground Quilts. I got this, again, back before I started on the AT. I've had it for several years, and it's doing great, and I have no reason to replace it. It was rated as a 20-degree quilt, but I did have the option of adding down, so I added an ounce of down in the body and an ounce of down in the foot box, and I think that brings it to maybe about 17 degrees in terms of comfort based on my experience. I am an active sleeper. Unlike some of you who might be dead to the world and not move all night long, I am active. And so I really need something that gives me a lot more flexibility than a sleeping bag. And so a quilt is perfect for me. This one has a drawstring at the foot. So there is a hole here, which you can stuff some clothes or socks down there if you're worried about drafts. And it also snaps together so I can choose whether I want it to be partially open, halfway open, not open at all. And I can also unfold it completely and just lay it out flat. If this has been a lovely quilt, I'm super happy with it. Still giving them rave reviews several years later. And if you're looking for a quilt and you're not happy with the other offerings that are out there, then take a look at Underground Quilts and see if that might work for you. And by the way, even though I'm really enthusiastic about some of my gear, I am not sponsored by any of these companies. I am just giving you my input based on my experience, not only using this gear myself, but also working at the outfitter, talking with a lot of different people about the different conditions that they've used different types of gear in, finding out what works for them, what works for me, and I can share that with you. So when I'm giving you a recommendation, it is completely based on experience. I don't take sponsorships, and if you do want to support my work, then you are welcome to do that. There's a couple options down below. Send me money for a coffee, whatever you like. I'm happy for your support, even if that means you're just hitting the like button and letting people know that you enjoyed the video. All right, there are a few things that we all need to do. Hopefully getting clean is one. For many years, I have just carried dry wipes, they're kind of like baby wipes. You can buy them in bulk. I think I got a box of like 500 off of Amazon that I'm still using. I normally carry these because they're lighter and I can just wet them down with some water at night and clean off all the mud and dust and dirt and gunk. However, the Tahoe Rim Trail is also somewhat dry in certain sections, and the dust there, the dirt is not, it's not thick and grainy. It's super fine. It's almost like airborne silt and it gets everywhere. And so being able to clean up when you get into camp with a wet wipe, or even when you stop for a break for lunch and you just want to get some of that off of your skin before you eat, I'm finding that wipes are working. Unfortunately, you have to carry these out. You got to pack them out, and they do take up a little bit more space. And it's hard to find ones that don't have fragrance, so that can be a challenge as well. But I've been using these, just packing them in my bear canister at night so that the bears don't smell them and come and get curious. The other thing we got to do is we all got to pee and poop, right? So I carry a pee funnel like this that for women lets you pee standing up, which is very convenient. You can also just squat, but I don't know, I feel vulnerable when I squat in the middle of the trail. I don't know why. So I just use this. It's very discreet. And then I've also got a hula cloth to wipe. And when it's time to go number 2, I have a trowel, which you can tell that it's well worn because I've had it for a long time. I just bought a new one of these just to keep in my day pack so that I've got one in my backpack and one in my day pack. But this is the Deuce of Spades. Less than an ounce, works great, and helps you dig that 6-inch cat hole that you should be digging and covering whenever you're going out in the wild. So yeah, get a good trowel. And carry TP, but don't leave it as toilet paper blossoms all over the trail. Either pack it out or make sure that it's buried very well in your cat hole. When I am going number one, I don't use TP at all because I've got the Kula cloth and because I have this. So that's not necessary. It is really only necessary for number two. And a lot of people are using little bidets now. I haven't tried one, so I can't speak to them. If you have, feel free to let everybody know what you think about it. I just don't feel the need at this point. I'm pretty good with that. In the future, I might try one. So, you know, if you got one you love, let me know. This is not ultralight. I'm sure you've seen a bear can. You may have used a bear can. You may have rented a bear can. They are an ideal solution, but they're also not an ideal solution because they are so bulky. They take up a lot of room in your pack. They're heavy, but they keep the bears out for the most part. And you can Google and you can find videos where bears have actually gotten into these, but for the majority of the time, they're going to keep the bears out. And because there is so much bear activity around Lake Tahoe, these are now required for the whole Tahoe Rim Trail. It used to be just Desolation Wilderness, so I got one last year for that. And this year, I'm going to be carrying all my food in this. It's the mid-size. They've got 4 different sizes now. I can get about 5 days worth of food in here, along with my toiletries and things. And the nice thing about this is you don't have to do a bear hang. You don't have to find a good tree, which I hated doing when I was on the AT. That was my least favorite chore on the trail, was finding a place to hang my bear bag. You just have to find a place away from camp where you can put this, not on the edge of a hill because you don't want it to be rolled away by a curious bear, you know, under a bush, the base of a tree, something like that. And I actually put some reflective tape on here, so if I'm going to look for it at early morning, I can find it pretty easily. And this little guy is a perfect companion for that. Thank Chicken Tramper Ultralight Gear for coming up with the Bear Can Key. This little thing costs about 10 bucks, and it just hooks on the little tab here. These open, there's a little tab right there. And if you put this on top of it, it makes these little brads that are on the side go through seamlessly. That's one thing that people hate about the bear canisters, is that if you don't have this, you got to get your fingers in there and smush this a little bit. Hard to do when it's cold and you're clumsy. It's just a pain. People use credit cards, people use coins, all that kind of stuff. This little thing you can even attach to the top here. Bears don't know how to work it yet. And I just carry it actually in my fanny pack, so I have access to it right away. But it is so nice because it just makes that just go right around, open your can easily. So even though this isn't the most fun thing to carry, it makes it a lot more palatable if you have one of these. Now, my tent, I am still rocking the X-Mid Pro 1. I got this the day they first went on sale, and I know that Durston has made some improvements since then. I did do a video review of this after about 500 miles, and I certainly had some feedback of things that I didn't love about it, but as I've used it more and as I've compared it to the other tents on the market, I still find that I'm pretty happy with this one, at least to the point where I don't feel like going and spending $500 to $800 on another Dyneema tent. So I'm still using this one. I'm going to get a lot more wear out of it before I pick another one. And yeah, it's been a good tent. It's lovely, 1 pound. It doesn't add a lot of weight to your pack. And before this, I was using a Nemo Hornet that was 2 pounds. So I cut my tent weight in half, and I carry in here with it a little homemade footprint. Sometimes they say you don't even really need a footprint, but I always use a footprint. And this is made from Polycro. This is the window film that you can buy from the hardware store. It's like the shrink wrap window film that you'll see people use on their houses in the wintertime to stop drafts. It's the same thing. If you buy a pack that's designed for a sliding door, that's going to be more than enough to make several footprints. So that's what I have done. And then my tent stakes are in here as well. And I wrap them in the footprint just so that they don't come out and poke into the tent. I carry mostly little tiny titanium stakes like that. They work pretty well. Every now and then I need to shore it up with a rock or something to keep it more stable if the ground is real sandy. And then I also carry just a couple of the triangle size shaped stakes, either MSR or these are from my old Nemo tent, but just so I have a couple of extra ones if I'm having a hard time getting those others to grip in the ground, or if I need to use those extra cords for additional stability. When it's time to cook, I am using a 500 milliliter pot from Togs. A lot of people will choose a 750 or even a 650 pot that fits their fuel can. I can fit a fuel can in here, the smaller one. However, then I can't fit my stove. So what fits in here normally is a lighter, some emergency matches, again, a safety item for me, my little stove, and the one that I'm using on this trip is a Covea stove instead of the MSR Pocket Rocket that I've used for a while. I tried this last year on the Tahoe Rim Trail and I liked it, so I'm gonna stick with it, and it's a little bit lighter than the MSR. And then the bandana that I mentioned that I keep for cooking. This is kind of my hot mat, my placemat, all of those kind of things. And all that goes right in here. And I just close it up with a little rubber band and it makes a nice, neat little packet. And then I've got my titanium spoon. Love this one because it's got the polished bowl and it just feels like silverware from home. So I mentioned my fanny pack, and I probably am going to be in the market for a new one soon because I've pretty much worn this one. Loved it to death, I guess. This is from Light AF, and it's a great size. I like that it's got this mesh pocket on the front. My phone can go right in there as I'm hiking, and it's right at my fingertips so that when I want to shoot something, and I do use my phone for all my videos, it's right there. I can wear this even when I take my pack off, which is nice for going into town or even just walking around camp. The things I keep in here are some bug spray and hand sanitizer in a bag just in case they leak. Sunscreen so that I can reapply while I'm on the trail. This is a little package of anti-chafe. There are lots of different brands of anti-chafe out there. You've probably heard of several different ones, but this one is one you might not know about. You can find this in the women's healthcare section in the drugstore. It's by Monistat, but honestly, men and women, y'all can use this. It doesn't matter. And this is great. It's a powder gel. It goes on nice and smooth. It doesn't get sticky. It doesn't wear off quickly. So of all the ones that I've tried, this is the best one. I also carry a little tiny pocket knife. This is from Gerber. I've used it to cut fruit. I've used it to cut cord and whatever. It's really light. And if you need something as a safety item, like if you're going into town and you just don't maybe feel quite as safe as you want to, then you could just stick this in your pocket as well. And then I have a cute little wallet with my ID and some family pictures and some other things. And of course, a little bit of cash because you might need that going into town or for a ride or whatever. So that stays in my fanny pack as well. And then finally, I have a little ID bracelet. This is from Road ID. They make several different styles, and you can connect this to an online profile. So if anything happens and you need medical care, if you've got medical issues like allergies, you can put that in your profile. So should you have to go to the hospital, they can look that up. It has a serial number on the back and a PIN number for first responders to be able to look up the profile. So I carry this, I wear this actually, pretty much all the time when I'm on trail. It's just got a stretchy band and yeah, just an extra measure of safety for me and the people who love me here at home. As far as trekking poles, I'm still using them. I thought trekking poles were weird when I first started hiking, and then I learned how wonderful they are. So these are from Cascade Mountain Tech. This is a very affordable brand. Sometimes you can find them at Costco. You can find them at Amazon and different price points. I think these were about 35 bucks. This is actually my third pair because I wore out the first pair. I lost one on the Colorado Trail when I fell down a snow slope, unfortunately, and so I had to get some new ones. I like the cork handles. Some people prefer the foam, but the cork is nice. It kind of gets a patina over time and just gets broken in really nicely. So I like the cork a lot as a natural alternative, especially when you have super sweaty hands and they don't cause friction or blisters or anything like that. And then when it's all ready to go, I gotta put all this stuff in something. And like I said, I have to check a bag as well as doing a carry-on bag. And you can check a backpack. I have done that and I've had mixed results. Sometimes the straps get caught in the conveyor belts and then your buckles get broken, which is not fun to get to the trail and find out your package damaged. So I use this little IKEA bag, and you can buy these for about 10 bucks at IKEA, and I put everything in here. I kind of unpack my pack. I deconstruct it so that it fits well in this duffel, and then when I get to my destination, I repack it, and then this thing just folds up and fits right in the bottom of my pack, and it only weighs a few ounces, so I don't even notice it's there. I put it under my pack liner, forget about it until it's time to pack up and go home again. This has a nice zipper, and it's got backpack straps so you can carry it through the airport real conveniently. It's got straps on the top so you can carry it just like a tote. It's a really cool thing for 10 bucks. And you can spend an awful lot more on a pack duffel from REI makes one, Osprey makes one. They're very heavy duty. They probably weigh a bit more than this one. They work just as well, maybe better, I don't know, but this one is a good budget-friendly alternative for me, so this is what I've been using for a few years. So that's all my gear, and I am super excited about getting out, finishing the Tahoe Rim Trail this year, and hopefully be injury-free, and I would love it if you would come along on the journey with me. You'll start seeing those videos in a week or so, and I hope that you will enjoy the trail as much as I do.